just a boy. Christmas brought so much joy. Couldn't wait for the presents and laughter. I couldn't sleep late at night, looking for Santa with lights. Those are the memories I still remember. Then I became a man, lost sight of who I am, but right in front of me was the answer. 'Cause on Christmas I feel joy, and I turn back to a boy. The answer is to stay young forever. This is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song, this is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song, this is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song, this is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song.
Hello, Star Wars fans. You know, there are just 269 days until Christmas 2023. Oh, and happy Friday to everybody. I hope your day is going well, and hope you have a wonderful weekend. We've got a lot of Star Wars news to talk about. Some of it is relatively breaking. It's like brand new stuff. So before we get into it, I can bring on my friends Jason Ward and Star Wars Meg. How are you all doing today, my friends?
Doing great. How are you?
It's great. I'm the only Star Wars represented person here today. We've got Freddy Krueger, and then
No, this is Kurt Cobain, man. Grandma, take me home. Grandma, remember that video? No, nobody does but me. Okay. Sex Pistols. Oh, yeah. No.
Oh, John Lydon's completely gone off the rail.
Yeah,
I don't know
of
if he's become just ridiculous. He's swung the complete other way.
Yeah.
Politically not.
What that is originally sorry, Santa, 1 second, just 5 seconds. Originally, the idea with the Sex Pistol stuff was, go completely fascist, destroy everything, so that way we could rebuild it. And he's really leaning into that now, and it comes off bad. But that's what it is. It's stupid, though. I don't agree with it.
I'm a dinosaur today, Megasaur.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, and this relates to a Star Wars. I was writing Mike Porter a joke today.
Oh.
And then I turned it into a country song. But I want to tell Mike Porter the joke right now, if I can.
Yeah,
and
go
that's,
for it.
how did the Mando know he was being cheated on? He had a mythosaur on his helmet.
I don't get it.
Oh, come on, guys.
S-O-R-E. Soar.
A mythosaur.
Oh, a
mythosaur.
mythosaur.
On his helmet. Come on, man. I had to explain the joke. I guess it sucks. I quit. I'm no Mike Porter. I quit.
I got you. It's more of a visual. You got to read the word. It makes better sense.
So you're saying I got to do the music video now. I got it. Okay, I'll do it.
To the ear, it doesn't quite land. Yeah. Hey, I see Kindle's in the chat. Good to see you, Nerd Mafia. Yeah, Nerd Mafia. That was terrible, Jason. Terrible.
So I achieved full on Mike Porterdom.
Kindle.
I love you.
Yeah. They're throwing rotten veggies at you. Fruit, terrible stuff. It's bad. So anyway, some of this is breaking news, and I mentioned Kindle because the other day we were kind of going back and forth about how's the Mandalorian doing. Well, today, just shortly ago, Nielsen numbers came out in this Variety article, and turns out it's doing pretty well, but not as well as it was. How's that for a spin? I'll take a different tack.
Well, Parrot Analytics claimed that Mando is 59.3 times more popular than your average American TV show. So can't be that bad.
Yeah, that's why I've got so many tabs open here, because here they're saying it debuted at 826 million. I think it's 823. They have a typo in there. They put 826. It's 823. They have 823 million minutes viewed. And Star Wars Newsnet put out an article and they said that the lowest numbers that season 2 got was 873 million. So if season 3 started at 826, it's 50 million.
This is an irrelevant metric though, because like the premiere of season 2 was super long and the premiere of season 1 was not long.
Well,
so therefore minutes is a bad metric to compare it against itself. I'm not trying to defend it. It becomes it's all arbitrary nonsense.
This is the thing. Like, this whole discussion is very difficult because we're going to talk about parrot analytics. We're going to talk about the Samba TV stuff that came out before, and all of this it's convoluted.
Yeah, parrot is like, but because it's like it's just so irrelevant. People could be like, "Oh my God, it's Zeb," and then that has nothing to do with anything. Like at the end of the day,
it's really hard to nail it down. I mean, and the industry as a whole is so new that we really don't have transparency, clarity into any of it. The only people that know
they're being dumb. They just won't tell us how many people watch the whole episode. That's all we need. We don't need any of this minutes. We don't need and they just want to play this game about hiding how in trouble they all are all the time because they don't know what they're doing and they're winging it. Like it's ridiculous.
It leads to some of these. It leads to some of these things that come up. And so let me just go through some of these. Here we see that Mandalorian among streaming programs, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th. And Pedro is in 3rd and 5th. How about that? Good job, Pedro.
Oh, he's gonna, according to these numbers, he's gonna be filing for unemployment. I heard on the internet. He's only like charting twice, come on. But
if we look at original streaming programs, 3rd. Pretty good.
Well, also once again, Mandalorian is never going to be anything that has even a very moderate showing on Netflix because Netflix has about double the subscriber base. Yeah. So it's like, once again, it's all arbitrary numbers. It doesn't really we could only gauge things against itself on its own platform in actuality.
Very good. Very good. I'm glad you mentioned that because where was Samba TV stuff? Samba TV came out here. It's the next one, right? Mm-hmm. Samba TV came out and said 1.6 million watched the season 3 premiere of The Mandalorian on Disney Plus. All right. So internally, just Samba TV, 1.6 U.S. households, give or take whatever their analytics provide.
Yeah.
Season 2 premiered at 1.04 million. Season 2, 1.04 million on Samba TV. Same, right? Samba, 1.04. Yeah. Season 2 also was some 71% or something like that, higher than season 1's premiere. Now, season 1 is when Disney Plus just kind of rolled out. Didn't have near the subscribers that it does now. Yeah. Which is another part of the picture, right? But anyhow, that puts Mando 1 season premiere at 610,000. 610,000 for season 1, 1.04 million for season 2, 1.6 million for season 3. That's the upward trajectory, right?
It is, and Disney's actual mission at this point isn't subscriber growth, it's subscriber retention. So I think to them this is a good sign. This means that they are retaining their Star Wars subscribers. They didn't lose them.
Yeah, but this is another chart I think is very helpful in this, because you see what the weekly demand trend was for the last 60 days for The Mandalorian. See the little gray line down here at the bottom? That's not the bottom of the chart. The bottom of the chart's actually below that. This gray line is sci-fi action series, defined as whatever, right?
Yeah.
Again, it's all loose, but it just follow The Mandalorian. Leading up to the premiere, we had a little bit of upward trajectory as people were kind of rewatching 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. Pretty high considering it had been a couple of years since Mandalorian aired.
Yeah.
Right. pretty high. Then we spike up leading up to the season premiere, right? Season premiere happened like right there, something like that. I don't know, right in that ballpark, right near the peak. And we see a slight decline afterwards. Well, that's interesting because in the last 30 days, change in demand is up 26%. So not only is it retaining, but it's growing demand. And all of this is just, people trying their best to make sense of what's going on by pulling whatever they can in some sort of analytical way, right?
I mean, like looking at these numbers at the end of the day, it's not bad, but it's not like it's exploded and all of a sudden like Mando's grown a 3,000% either. It's just completely like business as usual.
Yeah. There's the numbers from Samba TV, season 1, season 2, season 3. You see it's up.
Mm-hmm.
More people are watching Mando now than have ever watched Mando in the past. And you look at this. This is the quote from Star Wars Newsnet, right? That the lowest number during the release of was season 2 was the third episode.
Wait, from what? From what? What are they pulling from here? Do you know? Do you recall?
It's Nielsen.
From the Nielsen, okay.
From Nielsen, and then, however, that's still higher than all the Book of Boba Fett's numbers, except for the week of the finale, where it got 885 million watch. Well, that's fascinating because if you go back, back here, Book of Boba Fett is 1.7 million over Mando season 3, 1.6 million. How are you supposed to make heads or tails of any of this stuff, right?
Because it's all arbitrary.
It is.
You can't.
It's incomplete. I don't know about how arbitrary it is, but it's incomplete, right? Like Samba TV, Nielsen, Parrot Analytics, they're all doing what they can.
Mm-hmm.
And they all have different methodologies. They all have different kind of ways that they're trying to dig into the data and then make sense of it.
Right.
And we just don't have a clear picture. Looking Nielsen to Nielsen, Samba to Samba, Parrot to Parrot is the closest you can get. And even in those, it's like they don't make sense one compared to the other, right? Mando 3's down from Book of Boba Fett, according to Samba. Well, it's up from Book of Boba Fett, according to Nielsen.
Well, so like Nielsen takes a sample based off of like their set top boxes, I believe, right? That's how they do it, and then they project from there, and then that's held against past data. But I think it's Samba, it's Parrot's the one that's just taking social media interaction, right?
Primarily.
Yeah, and so that one right there, I mean, Star Wars has a huge, strong fan base, whereas something else could come on that could be like Tiger King could come out, today for the first time, but not everybody necessarily is going to be talking about it like right away. So like that's where, but Star Wars has a built-in kind of thing. So it's always, Star Wars is always going to look healthier in certain ways on that platform because it has a culture like that's established online around it. Right. That's already set up every single time. So I see that one as completely just not really useful unless we just gauge its numbers versus the past, just to look at what the interest is. But like for Andor's coming out and like you can see what's going on there compared to like Book of Boba Fett, Andor's really not going to do what Boba Fett did. Like that's where there's some value, but that's kind of where it starts and stops for me, I think.
Well,
I do have a question for you though, Jason.
Yeah.
What is it with the narrative from some people that no one watched Andor? Because I think that's fundamentally incorrect. I've seen, compared to like Book of Boba and Kenobi, I've seen more people in the real world, like away from the internet, talk about Andor than I've seen talk about those other two shows.
Yeah, Andor did well. It actually, but for Star Wars and maybe for the budget, maybe it's like a little bit less like less bang for the buck for them, I would say. But for us, it's great. And then I it did get watched. I don't mean to say that it didn't, but do you recall what the numbers were of like Andor versus Book of Boba Fett? Because I think they were kind of drastic.
They were down.
Drastic.
I think they were down, as Santa says.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing about Parrot is they say in the last 30 days, it's up 26% in their analytics. So you could naturally conclude that interest is rising in social media, which very well could result in views rising as well. Doesn't necessarily mean that that's the case. People may not may have dropped their Disney Plus subscriptions and they're interacting more on social media because they can't watch it themselves. Who knows, right? There's all kinds of things. So it's really tough to pick up on these numbers. And as Kendall asked, do investors even get to view the numbers? Not really. Not like we want to.
I think we might need like somebody on the investors call who, when they let the call, when people are able to ask questions, actually straight up ask. That might be the only way that they would actually do it. But I still don't. I think they'd go, oh, we'll have to pull that, and they just wouldn't probably give it to us.
Right.
But I do think that, like, if you are an investor and, like, you know, you want to see like where the company's going, where that platform is going, actually having those numbers would be helpful, because these numbers right here, they just kind of let you, you know, it's like playing the odds in Vegas about whether they're right or not. Does it make sense?
It's really tough. And the other thing is, Meg said the narratives that come out of this are, the world's crashing and burning. Disney is going to fire everybody at Lucasfilm because the numbers of the Mandalorian have fallen off a cliff. They're in the pits. They're you know, in some sort of deep dark hole. And
a lot of people don't understand how the industry works. It's like what Jason and Rob were saying on one of their streams. Like, a lot of these fans think Lucasfilm and Disney's WWE, and, you know, there's Bob Iger who's fighting with Kennedy and she's fighting with Favreau, and it's just not how it works.
Yeah.
It's not an internal fighting match.
Nope. It's a lot of eating. A lot of eating catered food.
Yeah. And thank you. Like Diamond Joe said, if we were to go back to the 90s, early 2000s, like the like, would you? Huh?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I would say the thing about these numbers, though, like what we should actually be taking away from it is, to some extent, like, the growth isn't super huge, which means the budget growth likely won't be super huge either. And going forward, like, and we can't really necessarily expect this, like, the visual effects to start like going above and beyond what we've ever seen and stuff like that. That's the actual downside to it not having, you know, grown 30-40% or something. But I don't think that's actually possible with the, like I said, with the amount of Disney Plus subscribers that they have, until something happens that makes Disney Plus have more like household infiltration, until like they buy up HBO when Zaslav ruins it or something, and then they integrate. I don't see how it's going to grow like that.
Yeah. The one thing that I think is fair to say is, when you look at these numbers across the board, Mandalorian season 3 does not seem to have the kind of growth that maybe we would like to see, but I don't think it's near in any kind of state of trouble. I don't think that, you know, it's time to, you know, break glass and pull the emergency alarm, you know.
I mean, half the people don't understand what it means. The other half want to pretend that, oh, they fired Gina Carano and now they've gone woke and they've gone broke and that kind of thing. And that's literally not what's happening. This is the epitome, like I said, of business as usual. And, you know,
it blows my mind that there are people who think that because Cara Dune's no longer in it, that's why it's doing badly. Some people have deluded themselves into thinking that's the reason that less people are watching. It's like the actual people who were, you know, outraged about it is minute compared to the general fandom, who I suspect a lot of people don't even know the story.
Most don't know. The only people who know are people that are like reading the Daily Wire and Twitter Star Wars at that time. That's about it.
Yeah. It's just, and that's fair, Kendall. That's fair. Very fair. Is it possible that the time off hurt the growth. It's possible, but again, it's just so hard to tell exactly what the numbers are and how up or down is it.
I think a really a thing that is confusing this math problem is that like Obi-Wan Kenobi and Boba Fett, both, regardless of the quality of the shows, regardless of if it was good or if it was bad, had huge character recognition. That's like Batman and Superman having a show when Mando's Black Adam, but Black Adam is actually really successful. And then they're Batman and Superman, so they get the numbers just because it's Batman and Superman. It's Boba Fett, it's Obi-Wan Kenobi. If 10 years ago I said a new Grogu show's coming out, people would be like, what are you talking about? You crazy person. But if I said an Obi-Wan Kenobi show or a Boba Fett show, they'd be like, rad, I want to see it. So but that is the big part of this puzzle, that if you're going to analyze it for better or worse, you need to take that into account, because that's a huge factor in these numbers. And it's a huge factor, I think, in why Andor is less successful compared to Boba Fett and Obi-Wan Kenobi as well. And even Mando.
Kendall's got a point. Mando is like Iron Man. That's true to a degree. Like if you were saying Superman, Batman, and I know we're mixing franchises, but you flip from Batman and Superman to Iron Man. There's people who have never heard of that, who only know Superman and Batman. They're like,
well, what year did Iron Man come out? Because Mando is Iron Man when the Iron Man movie came out. When I was a kid, I collected the Marvel trading cards. I remember like Iron Man was the one nobody wanted. Like you were trying to trade away your Iron Man because he wasn't an X-Men. He wasn't, it was a Storm and Wolverine and stuff. He was crap.
He's a drunk old dude that just has a suit, right? Like,
but that movie series just completely made him a Batman and a Superman, though. I think you know what I mean? Now.
Yeah. 2008, 2010, whatever the case is. Yeah, Iron Man was third tier, right? It was not your top tier. Even within Marvel, you had Spider-Man, tier one kind of superhero. Iron Man wasn't anywhere close to Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
So more people are going to turn in to watch an old or a new Spider-Man over a new Iron Man back in 2005, let's say.
Yeah. Right? And like for my children, Din, Mando, and Grogu are probably going to be more prevalent than Boba Fett has been or will be in the actual like big like zeitgeist of the whole machine. Yep. And so in another 15 years, what I'm saying won't be true. But right now, I think it is. Pinimoto is Plastic Man. Yeah. I loved Plastic Man as a kid. I watched that cartoon on USA all the time.
Oh, I hated it so much.
Spielberg was supposed to make a movie of it for a couple of years, like in like the early 90s. And I was like, yeah, do it, Spielberg. But he didn't do it.
So the question is Mandalorian's viewership down? If it's down, is it drastic? Is it sound the alarms, rally the troops and make tremendous changes to course correct? Is that where we are with Mandalorian?
No, because the ratings, like I said, I think I said this last week, the very first episode that this is based off of, that this data is based off of, no one had seen it yet. There was no value judgment to be made. So therefore, you can't actually pin it on the quality of the show, whether it's good or bad. You could only pin it on Disney's marketing itself. And it's the same as it's always been, same as it ever was. So
before we change topics, anything else on this, Meg, before we
as I say, like, it's very unclear what the exact numbers are, and what does seem to be more evident than anything with the internet is how narratives can spread very quickly and people jumping on or agreeing with that narrative because it serves a wider purpose. So pop culture YouTubers tend to like to say Disney's failing and Lucasfilm are failing, and there's this big drama going on. And as Jason says, that's just not the industry. It's not a case of that. As you say, it's business as usual. And there are more people who watch The Mandalorian than what the internet will tell you.
Yeah.
Agreed. Very, very, very good.
Yeah, one last thing. The big question is Disney Plus better with The Mandalorian or better without it? And like, I love Andor, but do I think that Disney Plus is better with Andor? I'm kind of thinking not exactly, not in terms of what they could be doing to maximize their service as from a business perspective entirely. Not exactly. Love Andor the most, but that's the truth. And then like, but do I think Mando's better? But is Disney Plus better with Mando? And the answer is like, yeah. Why we'd never get rid of that? You sound stupid. Just use your head, dummy. Like that's what it comes down to.
Right. Well,
And story aside, this is why The Mandalorian will never end. In one form or another, there will always be an iteration of, it'll be the Mandoverse. It'll be like Alien and Aliens. It'll be Mandalorian for like 5 seasons, Mandalorians for another 5, like 3 seasons of Ahsoka, maybe 2 or 3 of Skeleton Crew, another Boba Fett season, and eventually it's just an ongoing story that you come to Disney Plus to. I'm for it.
Yeah, me too. And the term I've heard associated with Mandalorian is it's a Disney Plus flagship series. Right? It's a flagship for the platform, not only for Star Wars, but for Disney Plus as a whole. It's a flagship, or the other term is it's a tent pole. Right? It's holding up the fabric of the tent. Like Mandalorian is everything. So calm down. Yeah. Could its numbers be better? Sure. But I think we're headed into, and we're going to transition a bit because we've got some stories from Making Star Wars and Bespin Bulletin to cover.
Those guys.
Before we get there, we'll get to the Bad Batch. But as we go into Ahsoka, followed by Skeleton Crew and then Mando 4, this Star Wars, this era of Star Wars is going to stay with us for a very, very long time. As you talked about, Jason, with your kids, they're growing up with this. We're going to have passionate defenders of Star Wars this was their Star Wars. This is what brought them in. Yeah. The sequel trilogy may have failed in drawing in the same numbers that this will.
Right.
Just like this is tremendous for the franchise as a whole, and those who are younger that come into the sequel trilogy are going to embrace it just as much as they will the prequels in the original. To them, it's all Star Wars.
What like Marvel does really well is like I don't care about the larger ramifications of the stuff in Marvel, but I could just jump into a Marvel movie and probably like enjoy it for the most part. People will be flipping out about something that I don't care about. I'm just like I don't care, but I still liked what I saw, and as long as Star Wars can maintain that. Like as long as it doesn't start to feel like Star Trek where you have to have this deep insider knowledge of like, oh, remember the episode of Coruscant from season 3 of The Mandalorian, or you're lost in something else. As long as they maintain not going down that path, I think they're going to be just fine with these shows.
I disagree, Jason. I think with recent Star Wars, they kind of rely on you consuming very obscure stuff. Like if you didn't see certain episodes of the Clone Wars, a lot of everything that comes after it makes no sense.
Well, and that's what I'm saying though, mate, to some extent, is I'm saying like they can't go too far down that side of things because people aren't going to work to understand your like narrative. So that's where we always say the human stories inside of there of a father and a son, you know what I mean? A father and his daughter, whatever happens to be in these stories, that's what has to connect, or all of the other stuff is just like, and that's sort of where like Mando kind of hits on it. This third season is kind of getting there. It checkboxes it, but I would say the failing of the season thus far is that there hasn't been a really great Grogu and Din moment. There was like the little wrist rocket thing, which was fun, but it's not it. So I'm still like I think at the end of the day that might be kind of where I think I would be critical of it. And that's just me being critical though, like finding like nothing's perfect, nothing's a 10. Where did this falter when it shouldn't have? And I think that's where I'm at with it. Is I feel like Grogu's sort of been just like this expositional thing that we look to before we go to the thing that we're actually focusing on.
Yeah,
I think the season has proven that Grogu should have stayed with Luke at least for another season. You can have your Paper Moon connection, but I think you you find exactly what the worry was, which is that Grogu is more or less pointless at this stage in season 3. He's not learning anything valuable other than how to be part of a cult. And on top of all of that, you have a situation where Favreau and Filoni and the creatives are realizing, well, the fans get really excited when we throw in member berries, and they rely on that. Like, be honest with me. If I ask you, do you think fans would have loved this last episode as much if Seb wasn't in it?
Well,
Do you think?
the
What
regular
do you think the
fans,
answer
yeah,
to that
because
is?
they don't know who this random purple alien was, just leaned against the bar and it's like, right? Like they don't care. But
Yeah.
you know,
I actually I'm a bit weird for a fan, obviously, but I was more actually upset about it. Not upset like I'm mad at it, but like I was like, God, this is so much cooler if Zeb goes with Carson on this adventure and he has somebody to talk to about all of these things, and they're like doing it together. Instead, like he just says like, oh yeah, good luck, idiot. And I was just like, oh man, come on. Like in a way, I just felt like teased, you know?
but
It's like, girl, you coming over or you sending the pic? You know?
I
And
think
Zeb just sent the pic.
the excitement for us, of course, because we've watched Rebels and we know who Zeb is and we like his character is super high. All right. But
Yeah.
I think that the average Mandalorian fan who came into it, they don't care as much. And I highlighted this comment, right? The Catan DeLoreans is this season. I agree with Meg to a degree. This season's not been about Bo or about Din and Grogu. They're there. They're certainly part of the story. They're certainly part of the environment, but it's more about Bo-Katan's journey and from this failure. Now she's been struggling and where she headed and into a place of leadership. We're really seeing her character arc this season of Mandalorian, and it's for the folks who came in with this father-son story of Din and Grogu, the Paper Moon thing, right? And they're like, oh, that's cute. And now they want to see, all right, what's the next chapter in Din and Grogu's story? It's not really their story this season.
You want to know? You want to know why I think that is?
Yeah.
So when they were doing Mandalorian season 1, when it very first started, they hadn't hired Pedro yet. And then he came in and he started working like late in the production. And I had heard that there was a big like thing where he wanted to take the helmet off. And they were like kind of going with that. He leaves the helmet on thing because they didn't have the actor yet. They kind of like were just getting going. And when they were negotiating for money, what I had heard was they were saying you're voice acting. And he was like, well, no, I don't want to voice act. I want to be in the show. And then they were like, well, so then they wrote that scene where the mask comes off in front of IG-11. And that happened late in production. But that's when they were negotiating for what season 2 was going to be. So then we end up getting this thing where the helmet comes off in the next season a couple of times. And he has like real facial recognition in the episodes and stuff. And then he ends up getting this other shows and these movies. And then he's like really having a Hollywood moment right now. And the whole season, I didn't hear he was ever there. I think he's basically just a voice actor this season.
Yeah.
So if you look at it from the creative's perspective, I think it may be introducing a large hurdle for them, and they might have to start pulling away from him and using other people unless they were to go with the recast, which they wouldn't do because it's Pedro Pascal, the number one guy in Hollywood right now. But I think that because I mean, like if it was a different world and Pedro wasn't having a moment, I think the armorer would have called them both in and said, both of you take your helmets off. They both would have done it, and then they both would have been sent to recruit.
And that didn't happen. I thought she was going to take her helmet off too.
Yeah, me too.
I'm very worried about that though, story-wise, because they're going the opposite direction of where they need to be. I fully expected this season to be Din Djarin, maybe going to Mandalore, all the Bo-Katan stuff happening in chapter 18, and then him being like, you know what, Bo, you're right. Screw this cult. And he takes off his helmet and he has to work that through with the armorer. Yeah. I thought that was the direction. It's kind of weird him taking such a back seat and being so passive about the whole thing as if nothing happened.
It's
It
interesting
feels-
you said that word passive, because when we saw her take her helmet off, she comes out and everybody's looking at her. There's a bit of tension, right? Of these other Mandalorians standing around like, hey, this ain't cool. But the armorer is kind of walking her through there. When she sees Din, and Din sees her, and then Paz turns around and looks at Din. Din just gives a little nod.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm good.
Yeah.
Right? It really was sort of a passive kind of thing.
I think Din nodded at Grief Karga though, not Paz. Because Grief is like,
that was
here's
different.
Your,
That was different.
here's your new home.
Yeah, I that was earlier. That was earlier.
Oh, I see. I know what you mean. Yes.
Yeah. Because
Yeah,
he did that to Grief as well. But then, yeah, when Katie comes out with the armor, and then Paz turns around and looks at Din, and Din's like,
That's right. Yeah.
So there's no tension between. A lot of people thought there was going to be a ton of tension between Bo and Din, and there's just not. They're on the same side.
Mhm.
They're pals. They're in it together.
She gave him a bath, so I've always been nice to ladies who give me baths. You know, my mom, a couple others.
And, oh my goodness! All right. Well, we'll talk about the upcoming episodes next week. But we also had the Bad Batch come to its conclusion this week. Bad Batch season 2 came to its conclusion. Some of you remember a few weeks ago, Santa got to be a knucklehead, and I said, "Hey, season 3 is already happening." Right? Because I heard from somebody who said that they heard it was happening.
Yeah.
And
You did say that. You scooped it. I saw
It
you.
is
I was
happening,
there.
no?
I did.
I was
I
like,
did.
scooped again by the Santa
I
Claus.
think it was Corey Van Dyke on Twitter who said it's happening.
Well, I just watched an interview that Corey did. Corey and his wife did. They had Johnny from All New Nerds there, and they interviewed the Kiner brothers. And they were talking all about the season and what the Kiners wrote and how they came through the writing process and all of that. And of course, in the chat during the entire live stream, they're like, "Is there a season 3?" And the Kiners would not address that directly.
Of course.
There was sort of a grin and a chuckle, but they would not address it. But after that finale, I am quite confident.
Well,
I'm
okay.
100%
Okay, number one,
There has to be.
I
There has
think
to
you're
be.
right. But don't forget, Willow said there would be 3 seasons. Willow did a cliffhanger with here's some books and here's the next seasons, and they're not doing that. So I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
but
just
Bad
saying,
Batch and Willow are very different.
Bad
Yes.
Batch
You can't
cost
really
about as much
compare
as
it.
Willow, and it kind of did the same numbers as Willow.
Is that true? That is very sad.
Yeah, that's very true.
The Bad
And
Batch deserve better.
Willow deserved better. But yeah, but anyways, but I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like you truly never know.
Well, that's true. I mean, anything can happen.
Yeah.
But we saw some numbers come out during the season of the Bad Batch.
Mhm.
Again, it's a black box. Who knows what's inside that box? But we
Mhm.
did see some numbers where it was really high. Disney Plus itself was tweeting out on social media saying how high the Bad Batch was in their viewership. They were very proud of it. So you see that finale. There's some indication that the viewership was what they wanted it to be. And I'm quite confident, based on what I heard that I let slip, and then that finale, that we're 100% getting a season 3.
Yeah.
100%. The question is Meg going to get a birthday present? Is she going to get a
Yes.
nice surprise? Yeah.
Because it's on my birthday, the Bad Batch panel.
Yes.
Nice.
And if they don't, then I'm calling corporate.
Mhm.
Okay. We're counting on you, Meg. We're counting on you. Because then the question is it 12 months, 18 months, or 24 months? How long do we have to wait for Bad Batch season 3? Is they going to announce that for 2024?
I bet they're gonna announce it for 2024, but it'll be more like 2025. There's already lots of stuff for 2024.
In my perfect world, each season of the Bad Batch would cut the fat, be 8 episodes, and come out yearly. You know, that's what I would prefer that they did, instead of making us wait 2 years so we could be like, guess look what they're doing now. But I do think the 3rd season will probably inherently be more intriguing than the 2nd one, based off of like the climate change by the end of it. You know, and
I have such a problem with this season. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's okay. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say it was so poorly organized. For
Yeah.
like every good episode, there were 3 that you had to sit through that have no connection to anything. And in season 1, people like, with the Roland Durand episode, they were like, don't worry, this will come back to be important. It never was. Same with Gunji, same with most of Pabu.
It really felt like the episodes were like written, and once they were written, it was done, instead of like there being like a, things needed to be moved around and stuff. And it was just like, they just kind of like, I don't know if they had some episodes left over from last season, and then those were turned into season 2 episodes. That's my sense, though. That's kind of what happened.
I disagree with both of you. Like, I feel like all the episodes this season built the tone for the season, that we're building a family. We've got this family unit. We're building this relationship.
Oh, that's all fine. The family stuff is good. It just has to do with stuff like the stakes when Fat Boss turns on them. Like if you put those things in different places, things just play differently and a bit better, I think. But this is the one time I would fan edit it. I'm not going to, but you know what I mean. This is where I'm like, just certain events happening in different orders would just kind of change, how you perceive the episodes. But
I'm going to say something that's going to piss you both off.
Young
Jedi Adventures. No. Young Jedi Adventures got me more intrigued than the Bad Batch this entire season.
Oh, Meg.
I saw somebody from Lucasfilm. I saw somebody like Star Wars. From Lucasfilm drop like a toy of like a blue teddy bear. I'm just gonna drop this here, and I was just like, "What do you think you are dropping right now? This is literally like Care Bears." And I'm not doing that's what they said about the Ewoks. No, the Ewoks had like cool scarves and spears and all kinds of cool stuff. Like that Young Jedi Adventure thing has that. When does that come out?
Well, there's already 3 shorts if you want to see them on YouTube.
On YouTube, the shorts are out. Okay.
I watched those 3 shorts. They're very good. They're very good for what they are, especially. Really good for what they are. Young kids. And exactly. One of the things that went through my head.
No, I disagree.
Okay, well, Jason, I've got a question for you. So, what bothers me more about the Bad Batch is Bad Batch Defenders, because I love the show. Don't get me wrong. Season 1 is so rewatchable to me. Okay. But it seems like the only show. I know Star Wars fans are very like divisive and whatever, but Bad Batch is the only show that people get genuinely pissed off at you if you have any criticism of it. Can you explain that?
Because it's only lovers, it's only hardcore culty lovers who are watching it. That's why, and then so that's where you end up with that, and then the other people who would be critical of it or just hate everything. There's not enough ratings to it for them to bother with it. Like,
well, I was going to say, there's 2 groups of Star Wars fans that cause some of the problem for all of us. The one is they hate everything, doesn't matter what it is. The other, they love everything, doesn't matter what it is, right? And both of them want to fight each other. And here's the rest of us in the middle getting in the way of them fighting it out. Like, you guys just go find someplace else to go and go fight over there. Like, let the rest of us be fans and have discussion about what we liked, what we didn't, and move on, right?
I will only say my take on this thing one last time, that I won't become a broken record on it. I was 3 years old when Return of the Jedi came out. Return of the Jedi was made for me as a 3-year-old. It changed my life, was the best thing I had ever seen for like a decade. And then when you go, oh no, little kids need Care Bears. That is insane. And that's not why we're all here. We're not all in the Care Bear fandom. We're in the Ewok fandom. It's you know what I mean? And that's that's where that show just pisses me off, honestly. That's where I think that's where I think it's a bad idea. And I think if you want to make things at that level for 3-year-olds and you want it to be what you consider to be appropriate, you can still do it in universe. You could still do it like really without it looking like that show, which looks like, just some garbage that you would put on Nick Jr. or Disney Jr., whatever it's called.
Real quick.
I do realize, though, to your point, Jason, that a lot of fans don't see Star Wars the same way as other fans. We all have our little view of Star Wars. And for me, I'm by no means like an elitist, or I'm by no means someone who says that George Lucas is the only Star Wars.
Yeah.
But I do lean that way. I do lean more towards the fans that say Star Wars is a precious thing. We don't need a spin-off of every one of Boba's sisters or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I do enjoy the Bad Batch, but I don't like when people lump fans who have criticisms in with fans who have a political agenda, because I'm always grouped with that if I criticize things.
Yeah.
And I can't stand that because it's just not true. I like good Star Wars, and I like things which a lot of people don't like, and vice versa. But it doesn't make me anything; just makes me a fan with an opinion.
Right.
Where I meet up with you, but we're also slightly diverge. Is I say the movies came out, the 6 movies that he did came out, and absolutely nothing is sacred. And things only become sacred with time, as they become prominent in the pop culture, as they live with us throughout our lives. When Return of the Jedi came out, it was a big event movie when it came out, but it wasn't like people were like, Return of the Jedi just came out, you guys. Like you know what I mean? Like the country was just founded by George Washington. Like it wasn't like that necessarily.
Real quick. Ahsoka's 8 episodes long. There. That's a
I
chat.
know.
That's what somebody asked a long time ago.
Why are you telling me that?
I don't want to lose it. I'm just trying to keep up with the chat and get back, because the other thing on this Young Jedi Adventures that kind of bothered me, and it's something they did with something else with the show that Ahmed Best was in, the Jedi Temple Challenge show, is they releasing it on YouTube and not in Disney Plus. And I'm like,
that's strange.
Why in the world are they putting it on one platform and not the other?
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about it. Well, at least the YouTube is free access, right? Disney Plus is behind a paywall. So I could see where you got, okay, we want to make this available to everyone, but and is better than or. Why not put it on Disney Plus as well? Release it in both platforms. And I know
my guess is they don't want it. They don't want somebody who's going in there necessarily. I know there's ways of doing it, but I think that they just don't want to dilute like Star Wars as a brand on there with things that aren't Star Wars storied content in that deep way. That's my guess. I mean, I think you just do it and you just make sure it doesn't become like the featured thing on the top, because that would be bad if somebody who just doesn't really follow Star Wars goes and then clicks on it and it's like these little kids doing this, this game show. Yeah. They'd be like, what is Star Wars? This isn't Star Wars. Oh, I don't want to do this. I just wanted to watch a space show. So like I could see why they wouldn't do it. Like they did put like Ewoks and droids and stuff up on there, and there's a way of doing it. But
if there's one thing I've learned about Lucasfilm, it's more often than not, they don't have a single plan or clue about how to market their stuff. And it's not deliberate. They're just not as good as some of the other Disney properties. I don't think it's deliberate. I bet if Santa said that, it might be the first time they've heard someone make that suggestion.
Well, here's what's crazy about it though, Meg. It's the same people. Lucasfilm doesn't market anything. Mm-hmm. The same people who market Marvel are the same people who are marketing Star Wars. For some reason, they just do a weirder job with it. And like I think with like the Jedi Temple Adventures thing, because it was constructed or conceived of as being a YouTube show, it probably came out of a different sort of budget line that wasn't paid for by Disney Plus's budget itself. Therefore, the people who made it have a vested interest in the outreach on YouTube being the successful part of it. So that's probably why it's like, yeah, well, we have to let it perform there before we would even consider putting it there and giving it over to like Disney Plus, because all of these things, they're all it's weird. The marketing is all handled by the Disney people up in Burbank, right? But then everything else are almost like these like little separate like subsidiary companies inside of it. And like if they don't do anything, if they can't produce numbers or show something that what they did was the point, then they just get erased. So I can see like why, like that's probably like why the online stuff is still just staying the online stuff, because that's what it was created for. And that would be my guess, but it's just a guess.
But you know what I'm saying? Because the same thing applies to like, even if it's the same arm of Disney, there's something weird with Star Wars stuff.
Agreed. That's one thing that's annoyed the daylights out of me is their marketing and social media teams. I know that they think they're doing good, but they're not. There's so much that they could do differently. And things I've heard from within Disney or within Lucasfilm itself is to get anything released, like a news article, anything. There's tons and tons of approvals and oversight. And it just creates a red tape nightmare for folks to get information out. They need somebody that can cut through the red tape, get information out to fans, interact with the fandom better to keep us from having to fill in the blanks ourselves. And part of their strategy seems to be just that. We'll let them fill it in themselves. It gets them talking. And then them talking's free marketing. The problem,
and then they get mad when it doesn't go the way that they wanted it to, though.
Exactly, it's bad. It's free, but it's also you're paying for what you get. It's free. It's terrible. Mm-hmm. It's terrible for the brand. It's not good for the franchise, and they need to get in front of it. It's maddening. It makes me crazy.
I don't think I've ever asked either of you this, but what did you think of the Mandalorian season 3 trailer compared to previous trailers in the recent years?
I was pretty ambivalent about it. I was like, what I saw in that stuff was like the ratings, business as usual. And so like me and Bespin were talking about this. We're like, we're not really feeling super excited about it. And we were like, we know what's coming. So we know there's stuff to be excited about. We know that there's things that we are excited about. But what those things were just trying to sell you was, yeah, the things that you like are going to be in it. So go watch it again. And it's like, as a fan, I need like something intriguing. I needed something more about like the mystery. And I think that they messed up by not making it like how a leader is going to rise style like trailer. That's what it should have been. It should have been like, what's it going to be? How's she going to do it? And stuff like that. Instead, they're like, oh, look, it's business as usual. And then I think that like I think it would be kind of a bit weird to watch the show and then go like, it was a bait and switch. That's hyperbolic. But at the same time, the trailers, I don't think really were adequate to what they are giving us. I don't think that's.
Do we know if Maxine Park still did it? Because Maxine Park did the season 2 trailer, which was fantastic. Mm-hmm. She did Rise of Skywalker, which I think is the best trailer of the saga, hands down. My least favorite film, but the best trailer of all of them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm questioning, did someone else do the editing for this trailer? Because it didn't have the flow of like, if you remember with like the Dark Mando scene when he's walking up to the Gamorrean fight and you hear the armorer's voice saying, show me the one who's, I can't remember the line, but you know what I mean. But season 3 just felt, as you said, just like all the action stuff, like you're going to get this, you're going to get Order 66, more Grogu, more Bo-Katan, etc.
From what I understand, like how it works, regardless of who edited the piece, is I believe they go through and they spot what they have, and they're like, that could go in the like archive for things that can be used for marketing. They go through and they like pick out all of the stuff, like that shot's money that should be in there, and then they go through, and then that person now has. Here's a collection of stuff. They might not even have seen the episodes or know anything about it. Right. And then they just like look at all the content and then they cut a trailer from what they're given. There's a chance it was the same person, just not given what they really needed to.
Look, the trailer did for me what it needed to do, but I was already in. Right.
Same, right? So, like they could have not released the trailer for us 3 and we would be there on the first day.
The only scene from the trailers is a droid bar that we haven't seen.
And the green Mandalore planet.
Yes, the green Mandalore planet. That very good. And real quick, because we keep jumping back and forth on topics. For the Bad Batch, season 2 finished. We have our winners for the leaderboard for the predictions. TVC Mackin, Sheev the Wise, their merch has already been ordered and sent to them. They get some free Star Wars Santa merch. But Corlo Rin, I don't know who you are, my friend. I can't find you on. I can't find you on Discord. I can't find you on Patreon or YouTube. Reach out to me. Send me an email.
He's cracked it. He knows he can do things and you can't see if he's naughty or if he's nice. He knows how to block your power.
Dude's got to send me an email. Corlo, send me an email. I'll send you some merch. You don't send me an email, no merch for you. Even though
if
you
want,
can
I have it?
Can Jason have it? If you quit wearing that sweater, yeah.
Okay.
Santa, but just for some bit of positivity, I did very much enjoy the last 2 episodes of Bad Batch. I've rewatched them like 3 times each.
I felt weird when my cartoon girlfriend, I made the joke she was my cartoon girlfriend last week, was Omega, old Omega. That was weird.
I feel like the old Omegas are the important part of that sentence, Jason.
The old Omega.
I feel like that's an important part as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Considering everything else, that's a very important part.
Yeah. Big time.
The interesting part on that especially is her being older sister. Congrats, Meg, for nailing that, right? You picked up on that early.
Yeah.
Who did I nail?
Omega's
her sister. You nailed her sister.
You and Jason both, just like.
We nailed her.
I'm just saying. But
I feel betrayed.
I'm trying to think of how to frame it. She's not a good guy, right? But she's also not necessarily right there with Dr. Poison, right?
Well, she's kind of like a Pershing, maybe, right? Like, I do bad things with bad people because I like science. It's my thing, but it's like you're still bad.
And then
I don't know if you saw my breakdown, Santa, but I'm absolutely convinced that German Imperial is the client from the Mandalorian. Because after I heard him talk, I was like, okay, so they're doing accents. Like the New Zealand scientist is Omega's sister. So is there a reason they made that one guy German? So I looked up young pictures of Werner Herzog, who plays the client, and it's unmistakable.
I liked it. Another thing that I think, there's Corlo. There he is. He's in the chat. Send me an email. Do it. That's good. There's still a question over Omega's older sister being Dr. Pershing's mom.
No, that's just the thing you made up. You just made that up. That's not a thing.
That's not a thing.
He says that he wishes he had a lab like what they have. That lady has a lab like what they have. Therefore, he's living on a backwater planet. He's living in the sticks. He has like a microscope and a beaker, and he's like, oh man, I wish I had Star Wars science.
Well, and the other thing about say Herzog being the client, right, is there seem to be 2 different factions after Grogu. One, and I go back to IG-11, was told specifically, kill the creature and bring him back. Din was said, you get paid better if you can bring him back alive, right? So we know the client said, bring him back alive, but that's not a requirement. IG-11 was told, bring him back dead. That's the requirement. So
also, I feel like that logic, the weird thing with Mando season 1 is there's so many questions about the original intent of the cloning, but they're keeping us in the dark deliberately. And I just realized something, Jason, which I don't think you put in your article, but you can definitely gloat about this.
Mm-hmm.
Is like, you said that, and spoiler warning, Moff Gideon is a Mando and will have Mando gear.
Yeah, I just said he had the helmet and maybe he's a Mando, but
maybe he's Mando.
Yeah.
Maybe he's a Mando.
Yeah.
Well, do you think that explains why in season 1, episode 2, Din Djarin is paid in Beskar?
Yeah, I think so. I think that could be.
How else would he have got hold of it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and you also have. I mean, I also think that he's going to be the one. I mean, have they ever explicitly said that Moff Gideon is the one who like bombed the planet? That led that? Have they ever explicitly like led that let that out? I don't remember now.
Paz Vizsla did say it was the Empire who was it Paz? One of them in
Yeah,
Wednesday's episode
we
said that it was the
see,
Empire.
yeah, we like see the scene like that from Boba Fett, you know. But I was wondering if Gideon was the one who did it. I guess. But
you guys are
anyways,
killing me. We
Isn't
talked
it-
about Bad Batch for about 30 seconds, and
Yeah.
right back to Mandalorian. It's every
Yeah.
single time.
Sorry,
It's
Santa.
That's okay.
I just think that scene was deliberately ambiguous.
Mhm.
Am I right to say it was TIE Intercept? Not TIE. It couldn't have been TIE Interceptors, was it? Or the ones with the K2 units? Because that could have been Gideon and Saxon, if and a bunch of other.
Hmm.
Actually, no, Gar Saxon would have been dead by then. But
Yeah,
it
he's
could be
dead.
multiple Imperial warlords, and I feel like they're introducing that. I remember at Toronto Comic Con, or was it Fan Expo? Giancarlo
Mhm.
Esposito was like, "Oh, you're going to meet some other Imperials this season. It's not just Gideon." And I don't
Yeah.
think he meant Thrawn. I think he meant like Ray Sloan.
So here's what I want to know. Getting back to Bad Batch and tying it back to what you were mentioning about the client. It seemed that in The Mandalorian, the client, if indeed the client is the guy who is in that summit meeting, and we know he said, "I'd rather get him alive than dead." Is there a possibility that Nala Se is involved in some way in trying? You know, remember, because she had hired Fennec Shan to rescue Omega, and that Nala Se is somehow involved in trying to not kill Grogu, and we'll see Nala Se make her way into the Mandalorian story arc, or is she way dead by then? I don't know how long Kaminoans live.
Yeah. Well,
They live 200 to 400 years.
I would
I
say
have
she
the
could
art
be
of
alive,
the-
but
okay,
I think they're
I've-
gonna cut off her head.
It's too tempting. They're going to do what Vader did to Uriel Poof.
Put him in
The
his
whole
ear and
reason-
spin it.
The whole reason Master Poof wasn't in Attack of the Clones was because Lucas didn't want people confusing his species with the
Kaminoans.
Kaminoans.
I like when his head does this thing.
Quirmian. He's a Quirmian. That's the name.
The question Matthew Cruz asked was the reason they got kidnapped. And thank you for the super chat, Matthew. $5 super chat. Thank you so much for that. Was the reason they kidnapped Omega was just to hold her ransom, make Nala Se do what they tell her, or instead of clone testing on Omega?
Well,
I believe yes. I believe the answer that they are not interested in clone testing with Crosshair or Omega or anybody else, from the batch. The only reason was that they needed Omega was to get Nala Se on board to cooperate.
I don't know. It's
Yeah.
very uncertain. There's no way they don't use Omega eventually. But that begs the question, is Rey, down the timeline, a cocktail of Grogu, Omega, Crosshair, Luke's hand from Empire Strikes Back? Is she just this mix of stuff?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, well, let's say Rey's dad is a mix of stuff.
Yeah, sorry, Rey's dad.
Yeah, Rey's dad is a mix of stuff. Palpatine's son, right? Yeah, I think is a strand cast.
I felt like by the end of the episode with the reveal of the sister, at that point, if she's telling the truth, Star Wars, which she probably is on that plot beat, it kind of takes away the whole Boba Fett thing for me a lot. Now Boba Fett has two sisters. He has to meet up with Train and give white armor to. Like, I think all of that stuff. I feel like, nah, they're not going that way at all. I think they're just going away where Boba Fett's just going to be them all more clones, just weird ones that aren't boys. You know?
Yeah. That does seem a bit odd. It does take away her uniqueness a little bit, unless, as you say, well, no, you're saying that it's Star Wars, so everything should be taken at face value. But she could be a clone of a different kind of clone. Omega's like a direct, unaltered clone.
Well, she has glasses, right? And like Omega so far doesn't seem to need glasses. I don't know what
I
age
think
you
there's
need
a
glasses,
medical.
but
I don't think they're glasses.
oh,
Glasses.
they're just like science tools.
Yeah, goggles.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
I
and
did want to.
she's
Sorry.
apparently age accelerated, right? Her sister is.
Is she though?
Is she though?
Well, Omega's older than the Batch, and she's way older than Omega.
But is she at the same age as Boba Fett?
No,
Because
Not a
Boba
good age.
Fett doesn't look like Omega. He's taller.
Boba Fett's-
He's bigger. He's a
So-
boy, I guess.
Omega
but-
was born in the year of Attack of the Clones. So Boba was already what, like 10?
10. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're not the same age, unless we just didn't see her.
So this girl could be the same age as Boba Fett, which at this point right now that we're at, Boba Fett would start to look less. He would still look like a very young man.
Well, that's what.
And she looks like a young-
Meg said something there. Why do we believe that Omega was born the same year as Attack of the Clones?
Because if she doesn't have accelerated aging, we're making deductions of the age she would be in 19 BBY
Okay.
versus the year of Attack of the Clones.
Okay. Excellent. All right. Perfect. Thank you for that. And then, but her sister's a good bit older.
Yeah, and it's a cartoon, so it's like really hard. She could be
know.
like 19, she could be like 29. Like it's that's where it's like a weird read for me, because cartoon.
And clone Trev says Nala says
Yeah.
either also cloned Palpatine's first clone. We see several of those vats of like beings in the finale, right? We see them floating in the vats. They're proto Snokes kind of thing. I don't know.
But well, I think when we looked at them last season, we got like a really good look at one of the models and one of the shots, and when we were looking at it, there were like super soldier kind of ideas. They were like wasn't one of them like not even human? It was like a Kaminoan or something too, like
Right.
a ripped one or something. I remember that. Maybe I'm misremembering. But so, anyways, yeah, what's in those tanks right now? And still, even in Mandalorian season 2, when we see those tanks, like everybody, but those are Snokes. But when you look at them, you're like, I don't know if they are. I think they're just like soldier, like weird things that they're messing around with.
I will say I made a bit of a mathematical error.
Okay.
Omega is 5 during Attack of the Clones.
Okay.
There you go. There you go. So if she's 5 and Boba's 10, there's maybe a 5-year gap in there.
And if you put Omega 5 years older, she would look like an adult in the style, I think. Don't you think? So once again, I don't know how. I mean, she has like a whole science like thing going on, and she's doing science experiments. But so I don't know how old this person's supposed to be. Did she go to college? I don't know. I don't know how Star Wars works sometimes.
I will say one actor, and I
Mhm.
wish, what's his name? Matt Rissman was in the chat, because it's an actor I reported is in Mando season 3 months and months ago.
Mhm.
And for the life of me, I can never remember his name. But he looks exactly like Snoke, and he's in this season of Mando.
Oh, you're talking about the guy from Breaking Bad who's Jesse's
Yes.
meth friend.
Yeah, exactly. I never
Oh.
remember his name.
I can look it up.
But I suspect if they're going to do the Snoke stuff, you'd
I mean,
think he might
he's
be one
all-
of those characters.
You figure her sister's already completed enough schooling to be a competent scientist. But again, it's Star Wars. I get it, right? Like, what does that mean?
Skinny Pete in Breaking Bad is who she's talking about.
Okay. I just think her sister looks more like 15 years older than her by her position and what her status is in that facility.
Yeah.
My presumption is that she's accelerated in aging. I could be wrong, but that's my guess. Is her sister's accelerated aging? She's not. We mentioned before there was only 5. Tech, again, R.I.P. Tech, but Tech had mentioned there were 5 of them that weren't, and Omega was the 5th one, right?
Well, and then here's the other thing though. If getting Omega is important to the science program itself, regardless of making Nala say do what they want, they don't need Omega if they have her cloned twin at all.
Right.
So there has to be a difference if Omega is important, because we don't know for certain that she's not. I still think that like those things go together. I think they need Omega with Nala Se doing what they want in order to do this thing that they want to do. I think she was the advancement. You know what I mean? I think those things go together though. I do. Yeah. And the sister though, she would be the answer, and she's not. So I think that might be a rational deduction.
I agree, and I think that that this finale did absolutely everything this finale needed to do, right? Because it set us up to have these kind of discussions now until the next season of Bad Batch. Is the sister this? Is the sister that? Is Boba Fett this? Boba Fett that?
What's no, and that's what I kind of felt mad about though. Was they remember I was telling you that Boba Fett thing? I think it might have been a mistake. I don't think they might have meant for us to be like really going in on this hard. And if they meant for us to go in on the Boba Fett thing that hard, and then what they've done, which is they pulled it, I don't know what you guys are thinking over there.
I think they'll bring it back. And but that's what's absolutely perfect about the season finale, is it set us up to anticipate season 3 and what they're going to do, and we can fan speculate about it forever. Is Tech alive? Is Tech not alive? Is Crosshair going to die? Is Crosshair going to survive? When are they going to rescue Omega? Episode 1, episode 16. Is the whole season about them trying to do it, or is it going to take some time, or are they going to happen right away?
Yeah, if they have big Kaminoans, what they'll do is they'll make it where Omega doesn't want to leave because she doesn't want her friend Nala Se to be murdered. Like they will have her checkmated, and then they will have to do something in order to like literally free all of them, and go that way. Or because I think that's a more interesting story to like tell than just like I'm waiting for my friends to come get me again. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, they're gonna come get you.
What was that accent?
That's how Omega speaks, and that's how you sound too. I'm kidding. You don't sound like that at all. No, not at all. I just can't do accents. Sorry.
Oh my goodness.
Oi, Dad, get him. That's my Boba Fett impression.
Well, it was definitely better than your Omega.
Okay, how about this one? Oi, Wrecker, get him.
Why are they all the same, Stephen Owen?
Oi. They don't actually say oi, but I think it's funny if you add that at the beginning of every clone sentence. It makes me laugh. I can't help myself.
Omega is the armorer.
Oh
no, I can't stand this theory. It's so dumb and makes no sense.
The one that I reject offhand is that Omega is force sensitive. She's clearly not. They have established.
But that's still better than the armor theory.
Jason sounds like Dreadnought from the old G.I. Joe cartoon.
Yeah.
Jason, don't quit your day job.
That's fair.
Very good. All right. We have a lot of other news, and we've already gone over an hour. Oh my goodness. We're having way too much fun. Way too much fun. And I need to change the leaderboard too, because we also did have a lot of people do really well on the not they did really well. Santa did really bad on episode 5 predictions for The Mandalorian. Oof, not good. Not good. We got 4 pages of leaderboard here. I'll try to switch it up from time to time, but we do have a couple other stories to do. Should we start with Bespin or start with Jason? Oh, Jason just fled. We lost him. We'll start with Bespin then. We'll bring Jason back when he joins.
And Star Wars fits. I will eat my words and my hat if the armor is Omega, because there's just no chance of that happening. Because the armor existed before Omega, and that retcon just makes zero sense. She, at this stage at least, has no interest in Mandalorian anything.
We lost Jason. I keep watching for him to come back. We will be watching. We'll be watching. There's Bespin had these articles from this week. The first is that Mon Mothma is rumored to be in season 3 of the Bad Batch. And somebody earlier in the stream, Meg, asked, what's going to happen in the next episode of the Bad Batch? I know we'll talk about it more in detail next week, but
You mean the Mandalorian?
Yeah, Mandalorian. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
I think it'll be Bo-Katan episode.
I saw your video today, and I agree with you. The only thing I disagreed from your video today was thinking that not Gar Saxon, what's his name? The other guy.
Gideon.
No. You mentioned about Sabine and
Fen Rao.
Finn Rao. Yeah. I don't know about Finn Rao.
No?
But I think you're pretty convinced Finn Rao's going to be in it, yeah?
Is there a reason, just out of curiosity?
That I don't think Finn Rao would be in it?
Yeah.
Only because Sabine kicked his butt in season 2 in Rebels.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only reason.
But isn't the point to reunite Mandalorians and set aside their differences?
True. Well, I'll say this: Finn Rao was part of that whole deal with
Concord Dawn.
Yeah, and with the Imperial Super Commando program.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Mandalorian, this last episode, ended with a hint that we're going to see like these super commandos, right? They look a lot like that. But Jason gave us a drawing of the, what do we call them? The Gideon Lorians, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Gideon boys.
I don't see what's incompatible though, Santa.
Well, that's what I was going to tie back to. If Finn Rao is part of Gideon's force with these kind of guys, right, that look a lot like that, then he could be leading that group in. He could be loyal to Moff
But
Gideon.
that's not what happened, Santa. Fen Rao left that group. He became a loyalist to Bo-Katan. And the last we know, he was still a loyalist to Bo-Katan. I don't think he's Imperial at the moment.
Remember the scoop that I had that they're the crusty old dark skinned man and the crusty old white guy?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, clearly they're not both on the same side, and them coming together under Bo-Katan is the big deal. So you could put him wherever you want. He could just be on that side. He could be on that side. But at the end, like they'll come together. But I think my reading of the whole thing is that we have this fascist imperialist ideology that permeated into the Mandalorians, and those are the people who blew up the planet. So they have to sort of exorcise that out of all of this stuff. And obviously Gideon's the one who's like, yeah, that's who I am now. That's me. And so I think that's going to be where the future dramas may lie, or in the season or in the series, is that they're still needed to squeeze out the imperialist from the Mandalorian culture. As they can't reunite and be loyal to an empire. They have to be loyal to Mandalore, I think, is kind of where.
Yeah, and so I agree. I think Meg's right. Like, we're going to see Bo go get her night owls back. Right? I do expect that to happen this next episode.
Did you?
But when are we going to see Mon Mothma? We only have 3 episodes left, and if she's rumored to appear, is she also in the next episode?
Well, but I got something better than that.
Oh,
Bespin Bullet. Did you remember he posted that video?
yes.
Yeah, her beating up the night owls to show her dominance.
Well, if you watch the video, when Bo is beating up Axe Woves, an Imperial commander is there, and she grabs the Imperial commander and throws him into Axe Woves. So Axe Woves is with the Imperials.
Oh my
So
gosh, that'd be such a twist.
So Axe Woves wasn't in the final episode of The Mandalorian season 2, the Luke Skywalker stuff, because if he arrested Gideon, they wouldn't hire him to save Gideon now, would they?
Jason, I've got a bigger theory for you.
Mm-hmm.
Axe Woves rescued Elia Kane.
Probably. He probably got, I mean, those mercenaries probably got them, or Elia Kane hired Axe Woves to get Gideon out.
That's possible.
Or she just hid back in the corner until the dust settled and she kind of just snuck off the thing. Like,
yeah.
Yep.
You know, I've seen some of the chats, and I do agree that our fan base is a bit like Mandalorians. We're scattered like stars in the galaxy, and we need to come together.
Excellent.
I feel
Well
like we're Harry Potter and you're Hermione.
In the sense that
we're solving mysteries.
We kind of need to move along. Okay. Mon Mothma, is she going to be in the next episode? Or are we going to have to wait? Or
I don't know. I would go to the source for the story, Santa Claus.
Well, where is he? I don't see him.
It's on makingstarwars.net. It's my story.
Oh, this is your story. Well, I'm talking to you then, Huber.
Santa, I stand by what I said on Tuesday.
Yeah.
That Mon Mothma will appear in one of Rick Famuyiwa's episodes, because Carson Teva is in one of those 2 episodes at the end. So
excellent. To keep going, we did see some pictures and videos of Andor season 2 filming, and Meg covered this very well today. You should watch it. She said this whole city name or town name and whatever. I don't know. You spoke Spanish for
How does it go, Meg? What's it called? I don't know how to pronounce
Ciudad
it.
de las Artes y las Ciencias in Valencia, in Spain.
Okay, I don't know what you just said. That sounds cool though.
I did. It did sound cool. I was like, whoa, Meg. Excellent. Yes, all of that. What she said. That's all I got. That's all I got. But Andor season 2 is moving right along. That's great. There's some more shots here where we see Diego, right? That's Diego there, and he's running. They're running. Is that Mon Mothma? Who is that?
Yep, that's Mon Mothma.
So they're having he's coming to get her and says, hey, you're in trouble. We got to go. And she says, okay, fine. Let's go. So there's that. And then Skeleton Crew news. Skeleton Crew, we've got David Lowery directed an episode of the Skeleton.
It's one of my favorite directors, like of the last year or so. So I'm happy. I'm really happy about this. I loved Green Knight. Green Knight was probably one of my top 3 movies of that year. And so this guy coming and doing a Star Wars episode of the show is great. I mean, when between the Daniels and Lowry and then what's his name? I'm calling Spider-Man guy right now because I remember his name. Skeleton Crew has a good list of directors. It's pretty amazing.
It does. And it's on the 2024 docket. Yeah.
I'd say so for sure.
And Acolyte's on 2024.
Yeah.
As well. Mando season 4.
Probably the end of 2024, since it'll be filming at the end of 2023. Around September or October, it'll start production. And so I would say, yeah, it'll be filming by October. That's what I've heard. And so I would imagine if it goes how it usually goes, it could be anywhere between October and December of the next year. If we just looking at the past.
And Jason asked, or Trev asked, has there been a casting rumor for Jason Syndulla for Ahsoka or anything else? And we were speculating a little bit about that the other day, because after seeing Zeb, then when are we going to see Hera, Jason, and Sabine? Right, we've already seen Chopper in Rogue One. We heard Hera's name drop, but we would expect, if we're going to pull together the entire Skeleton Crew or the entire Ghost Crew together, we've seen Zeb, Hera's been rumored. Sabine's rumored for sure.
Well, no. Hera was more than rumored. I mean, we got
same
Hera,
for
we
Sabine.
got casting, we got
Yeah.
yeah. That's all but confirmed. I'd say.
Right. The same for Sabine, right? We know those
And Sabine is confirmed. Like they've
What
shown
about-
Sabine.
What about Jason Sindula?
And then there was like some young kids being cast in the Ahsoka series, and people were like, "Oh, that's what that is."
So-
I'm not convinced it means that whatsoever, though. Doesn't mean it's not. Doesn't mean it is, because they put kids in these shows sometimes, you know.
So
Santa, can I make a prediction right now?
oh yeah.
All of those characters, maybe not Jason, not you, Jason, the other
Not me,
Jason,
the other Jason.
are going to appear in this season of Mando
I would love it. I
with
would love it.
Wolf.
With Wolf?
Uh-huh.
Oh boy. That'd be exciting. It'd be really exciting. Rob Sketchcraft. Rob says he's just here for your hat. Did Rob give you your hat, Meg? Did you get your hat from Rob? Is that it?
I did. But he almost robbed me of it.
Hera was in the trailer.
Her butt was
Star Wars Mandalore. This says Hera. Was
It's
in
all
it.
but confirmed.
all but confirmed. Yeah.
I don't think we've seen a Jason Sindula casting rumor, right?
Yeah, I'm almost wondering if they're gonna have to be like, oh, he's at the Rebel Academy or the Republic Academy learning how to be green. You know what I mean? Like I wonder if they will fit him in. I wonder if that's was a cute idea for the end of the series. And now they're like, man, why don't we do that? Like Jennifer in Back to the Future Part 2. Like, oh man, why did we put her in the DeLorean? Now we got to deal with this character that we don't need, you know?
I think
This would-
Will Morgan is right. We need an armor emoji where she takes off her helmet and it's me. They should do that in the show, but not me as in me in real life. Just edit my animated avatar on her face.
What if it was Santa? It's like,
Cartoon Abbott. Oh, there we go. I'm back.
the first galactic,
Jason,
the first galactic empire. Oh, hey guys, I was just going off.
Just the avatar Meg. She takes off her helmet and there's an avatar Meg, but underneath it. Is that what you're saying?
Do you know what I was saying with Dawn earlier in the Discord server? Is like, what if the armor is not human? What if
Right.
she's like a Zabrak? Or even better, for Jason, they should make the armorer whatever species Nubs is, the little blue guy from Young Jedi Adventures.
That'd
Just
be
a
great.
furry fish. Like,
One of my very first YouTube videos ever was is the armor of Zabrak. That is,
Interesting.
yeah.
It could come full circle.
Please don't go watch it. It's it's a long time ago. It was dumb. But anyway,
Do either of you know what my first ever YouTube video was?
was it the Vader can't poop? Is that the one?
I split
No.
the challenge.
No.
Okay.
I think Santa was closer, but no. It was a criticism of the Phantom Menace. And then I did one about Rey's yellow lightsaber. And then I did the Vader one. And then
Okay.
that's when I started getting a subscriber base.
Right.
Then lightsabers and outfits used in Star Wars. So this is where Bestman stole your story again.
He didn't still. He just covered it. Come on, be nice.
Did
But
you
I will
get your
say,
photo? Oh, look at
ad
this
blocker.
one.
Uh huh.
Yeah, look at that. We got you've laid out what you've heard about the new villains, and basically it says they have red lightsabers. Is that it? Is that what all these words say?
Right, Santa. That's what I did. I sat there and I wrote all that, and that's all it says. Come on.
I was pretty sure this is just like filling your word count. And
No.
really the story is just like
No,
they have
there's
red
actually
lightsabers.
there's actually a ton there. There's a
No,
ton
I'm-
in there. There's a ton. Oh no, sometimes that happens. Sometimes like, you know, that's like all you have, and you're like, well, I gotta make the 300 word count. But on this one, no, but I will say that there is a bit of reiteration, because every single time I don't reiterate, people go like, who's Ray Stevenson?
I
and I have
gotcha,
to like,
gotcha.
you know what I mean? Have to like go through it all again. So there is a bit of that, but
Right. So we know that they're helping Morgan Elsbeth. They're her minions.
there,
Right?
yeah. Morgan Elsbeth basically has two Jedi who seem one. I don't, when I say Jedi, I mean they're evil, but they're Jedi. I don't think they're Sith Lords or something. And I tried to figure out if they were Inquisitors. I didn't get any hits on them being on Balon being an ex-Inquisitor. And but I just know that he's a Jedi survivor of Order 66 who has some sort of reason to care about Thrawn and want to take care of him. I speculate in the article that Thrawn may have like been hiding him, like helping him out over the years, maybe as his own secret weapon, maybe as his ventress, if you will. But then over the course of things, Balon gets an apprentice named Shin, and he has a claymore lightsaber. And I am almost 100% positive about this detail, but like how Kylo Ren's saber is like a T,
Yep.
his is like a V with the blade coming out of the top. It's more like of that style, I think. But either way, Claymore is the one thing that everyone will agree on about how it looks. And then her lightsaber, his apprentice is Shin, and she's like a Ventress style character. They both wear some kind of dark armor, very samurai Asian Japan style like motifs going on. And she has a lightsaber that's like a rapier. And one person sort of described it as being long, but sort of like what the girl from Game of Thrones had. And I think he means like the needle sword, but it's like a thin, long blade kind of thing. Not short. And so basically, like I've heard that when they fight somebody one-on-one, it's really difficult because he's like brute force strong, hitting super hard, and she's like, I'm gonna stab you, you know, because she's real fast.
Stabby.
Yeah,
okay.
stabby.
Yeah, excellent. And the text I highlighted here, main villain is Force user named Balin. That is big in and of itself, right? Because I think that the assumption is the big villain is Thrawn, right? In Ahsoka, the big villain is Thrawn. But if the main villain here is Balin, that's news.
Well, I mean, in terms of like that kind of hierarchy, I don't know how you really like rate it, because Morgan's, I think, commander of all of this. Morgan is the one who's like, she's the organizer. She's the one who's pulling the strings here. Thrawn is our real true villain, but he's lost in space. So he's not really, I don't think, and at first, like, he's not doing a lot, because the first 4 episodes are Ahsoka and Sabine and like Republic stuff. And that's honestly where I think Zeb will play in. And I don't know that though. So to be clear, I don't know that goes that way. I never actually had anything solid on Zeb. And but I think that's how that's going to play out, because that seems to make sense with all of this Mon Mothma stuff. I believe she's in the first 4 probably. And well, she doesn't have to be, but anyways, but the first 4 episodes are heavily Republic stuff. The last 4 are in this new place getting Thrawn and like big fight in the Nodian Highlands and stuff like that.
And we talked about this the other day, but let's just bring it up again as it overlaps with Mandalorian season 2, Mandalorian season 3, and there's been talk about Thrawn, and since Trev is here, especially, I want Trev to hear this. So Trev, make sure you're still listening. Trev, wake up, pay attention. We're talking. Thrawn is not in the Mandoverse at this point during Mandalorian season 2. Likely not during Mandalorian season 3 either. Likely at the end of Ahsoka, we end up with him on his way back, or he comes back for Mandalorian season 4. Am I close?
I'm super close to a big article next week, but I need one more thing, and if I do, I think it will. I'll be able to elaborate on that, but right now it's muddy.
For somebody to say Trev was wrong. That's what I need.
Yeah. I don't think. I think season 2, Thrawn will be trouble. Season 1, Thrawn is like, it's like, you know, Saving Private Thrawn. and then season 2 is like the sequel where Private Thrawn is doing stuff now.
Yeah, because Trev and I had this argument last year, or during Mandalorian season 2, when Ahsoka told Morgan Elsbeth, "Where's your boss? Where's Thrawn?" Yeah. Trev said, "Well, Thrawn's back. He's in the Mandoverse." I said, "No, he ain't." And Trev said, "Yeah, he is." I said, "No, he ain't." So now, yeah, see, here you go, right? He's still holding on to this thing. Morgan is in season 2, therefore.
Yes. So if you in the article, was it in this article or the other one? It's in another article I did earlier in the week. In season 2, Morgan Elsbeth has taken that planet and she's turned it into. She still has her war machine moving, but the Empire doesn't exist, and she's building a large ship. Or a fleet, a ship or a fleet. I don't. It's kind of ambiguous right now, but let's just say it's a large ship, and she's going to take that to that new place. So during season 2, when we see her, they don't know. They haven't found him yet. They haven't been able to get to him.
Yeah, you taking notes, Trev? This is just
and I don't know why she survives or how she survives.
Or
like Ahsoka doesn't kill her. I don't know why she doesn't kill her.
The question comes to, when did Morgan Elsbeth start working for Thrawn? Before he was space whaled out?
I think because she was building things for the Empire already during the Imperial era. She got rich doing it. I'm going to guess that maybe Thrawn was the hookup for the contract.
Before he got space whaled out.
Yeah, and that's how she knows him, you know.
Uh-huh.
That would be that's not like a thing that's just sort of just reducing how people know each other, but I think that would make sense.
I'm having a lot of fun at Trev's expense. I love Trev. He's brilliant. Guy's got a brilliant mind. His memory, he's fantastic. But we argued about this, and I just want to be right about something and him to be wrong about something. That's what's really important to me. Anything else is just bonus.
Yeah. Hold on. Yeah, like hey, Lucasfilm source, how's Trev doing? Pretty bad. Yeah, it is wrong. Real wrong. All right, yeah, real wrong. Real wrong. Real wrong this time.
That's what I need.
Hold on. Oh, Sen ain't doing too much better. Oh, okay, yeah, Sen ain't doing too much better.
No, just I just need one. That's all. I just need one. So Balin's dedicated to getting Thrawn back. He's a loyalist. You don't know why. So on and so forth, right? His apprentice is named Shin. Shin's played by Ivana. And you just talked about that. And she is going to be leading those Kintsugi, the Saracen stormtroopers, the ones that have the gold weave through them, right?
Yeah, like red and gold, and then they got like magic things on them, magic red things on them.
They're Kintsugi is where they put the pottery back together with the gold bands in there. So it's like that.
So yeah, and like the thing about it is, once again, is when you have stormtroopers who get up after they've been killed again and continue on, like that could have like huge, unless they introduce some sort of like rules, it could only happen once or something like that. You can only resurrect them once or they go crazy. Unless they say something like that, which I don't know if they do, that has like huge ramifications for like the story, because the stormtroopers will just keep getting up unless they're like beheaded or something like zombies. And then also, like, what if they start going and like resurrecting, like when it gets back, like other battlefields with dead stormtroopers and stuff? Like, I don't know what, you know what I mean? Like what are the rules of this? But so how powerful Thrawn is going to be with this magic stormtroopers is kind of crazy. I think it's fun though.
It is fun.
Guys, I do have to go.
Okay.
But thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Meg. Hey, have a wonderful weekend, my friend. Thanks so much for spending time with us.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. So we've got what's going on there. Sabine's going to be using Ezra's lightsaber, so on and so forth. I guess you kind of retread it a little bit again, so people don't have to actually read 2 articles or 3. They could just read one.
Just that there's going to be a big fight, and you're going to have like Homeboy with this big Claymore lightsaber fighting Ahsoka, and then you're gonna have Sabine with Ezra's lightsaber fighting like Shin with her little rapier lightsaber, and it sounds fucking wild. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that word, but it sounds wild to me. I'm like, this sounds like I'm like super excited about it. And when I was asking about the like duels, like are they good? And I've only heard like really really good things about it, and I'm like, but you know, I heard good things about Kenobi too, and a lot of people were mad at the duels in Kenobi. So I'm not trying to, you know, be a snake oil salesman here, but it does sound like it's cooler. I mean, everything on paper sounds cooler than what we got in those duels for the most part, you know. So
Yeah.
I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be pretty rad, and like, you know, I just don't know like how much of that's going to be the show, or how
Right.
much of this are like snapshots of the show. And sometimes you just like see like one thing, and you're like, oh, the whole show is this thing that I just saw these like bits of, you know.
Right. Well, okay, so I think that covers Ahsoka, your latest things on them. There's another interesting part to that, and then we do have a Patreon question from my friend Star Wars Fitz. But I want to keep talking about your story for just a moment more. We've got with these stormtroopers that keep dying. They've died. They were brought back to life. They get killed in battle. They stub their toes, fall down into a well, whatever. They die again. They then resurrect them again. And it happens repeatedly. And that could explain some of the welding back together of their armor and stuff like that.
Exactly. And also remember back to the Night Sisters arc from Clone Wars season 3, when they resurrect the undead to fight General Grievous's separatist army. They're like skeletons, so it's almost just like magic is using them as puppets to fight, you know. It's kind of like almost less in a way less zombie, almost more puppet, but dead puppets. Right? I'd say. Is that a good way of putting it? I don't know. But
gotcha. Night Sister zombies.
Yeah, and Morgan Elsbeth is a Night Sister, in case we didn't say that today, in case somebody doesn't know. She's a Night Sister. Got it confirmed like many times now. Also, somebody in the production, like a hair person or a costume person, I don't remember who, on Instagram, accidentally said like, "Oh, we did this to the character because she was a Night Sister," and then then they took that down really quickly. And then the season 2 of The Mandalorian says she had her people wiped out. And now she does this because her people were wiped out in the Clone Wars. So she's a Night Sister. Yeah.
Gotcha. And then, it says Mother Talzin raised some as well. I mean, we have seen that kind of thing before, right?
Yeah.
And Trev says, so is she from Dathomir? Is Morgan Elsbeth from Dathomir, or is she from this place? Yeah, she'd have to be, right?
Maybe originally, but they're not. Yeah, I don't think they're from. I don't know. Actually, I just don't know.
If she was from this other place, then she may have a way to find Thrawn. Like
how does she even know where Thrawn is the other question.
That is a good question.
Like that's a big mystery that I don't understand how she even knows. And when Ahsoka asks her, how does she tell her? Like, you know what I mean? Because I'm not sure. Like there's and when there's magic and fake space science involved and stuff like that, it's kind of like, unless somebody explicitly tells me, I'm still lost on that.
Well, we know how you've shared with us before how you get your leaks.
Being dumb.
People are just like
frustrated,
so being like, Jason, do I have to spell it out for you? You're like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I knew that the Green Knight guy was, or I didn't know, but somebody was hinting at it to me, and I wasn't putting it together.
Rural Farm Bar says that Morgan Elsbeth is from Corvus. That's where we met her.
Her planet is Corvus, but we don't. It doesn't mean that she's born on Corvus and that Corvus is her planet, like that she was born on.
Right. Right. I think that she's a Night Sister and she resides on Corvus.
Yeah.
And so it's like my daughter now lives in Kansas City. And they said, "Where are you from?" She's going to say, "Kansas City." Right. If
Yeah.
she's traveling, "Where are you from?" "Kansas City." "Well, no, where were you born?" Right. "Well,
'Cause
Ohio."
I don't
They
think
will-
Morgan is shown up in any of like the expanded novels and stuff like that. I think she's kind of probably been off limits. But if I'm wrong, please let me know, because if there is anything in there about Morgan Elsbeth in any of the materials, it would be probably helpful. It'd probably be enlightening to some degree, if not
Yeah.
just flat out contradictory, but probably enlightening.
Stephen Murphy said she doesn't resemble the Night Sisters from Clone Wars like Ventress, and she doesn't have an accent either. But there were human Night Sisters in the EU.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be like Quentin says, they're bringing back the lore stuff. Right?
I mean, I did hear at one point that that the Night Sisters were like from a different place. They were like a different Night Sister than we were used to. But also, I would say when you go watch Mandalorian season 2 and you look at her, look at that like Victorian. It's like Victorian, like seance kind of looking hair going on, along with these like very like Japanese motifs at the same time. It's like Star Wars out, and so you could kind of see it when you look at it next time. Next thing, that's everybody's homework though, is to go watch that episode of The Mandalorian again, because it's important.
That's good to know. Good to know.
Yeah.
Just like we told people before this season of Mandalorian, you should go watch Rebels. It's going to be important. And it is. So they should do that. Meg covered another story today. We were not going to go much into it because she had to go.
Yeah.
But there's another comic out that has Rey in it. Rey goes to Kashyyyk. She's hanging out with Chewie, and we get to see the little guy from the holiday special.
Is that Itchy?
Lumpy. You got to see Lumpy all grown up in there, and they have a bit of an adventure on Kashyyyk. Lumpy's involved, and all of that. You should watch Meg's video from today. She did a great job of reading through that and giving us that story. It's really good. And then we have this question that on Patreon. And so if you guys don't know, if you follow us on Patreon, there's a place on there, it's pinned, where you can ask me a question. And if it's appropriate, you can give topics, you can ask questions, whatever. We'll treat it just like a super chat here. And you can support us on Patreon for just as little as $1 a month or as much as $10 a month. Like whatever fits into your budget. $1 a month, you can submit super chats without having to pay YouTube for a super chat. How about that? That's a good deal. And then here, our friend Star Wars Fits asked this question. In season 3 of Mando, when Pershing listens about Coruscant being a planet, lists Coruscant being a planet, a city of some in the galaxy, which other citywide planets are there in Star Wars? And would Hosnian Prime be one?
I would think so.
I would think Hosnian Prime would be one. And then some of the things, when you start reading the novels and stuff, you find out there's a bunch of planets that are essentially really small moons. Like they're pretty small planetoids, right? I would imagine some of those could be developed all the way into a citywide, covering the entire thing, because it's such a small place.
Trev mentions Corellia.
Corellia, yeah,
very, very urbanized in general. I mean, some depictions of Corellia would have like fields of wheat, because they kind of wanted to do like that, like cowboy-y kind of thing with Han Solo, but they didn't end up actually like using that. So for all I know, the whole world is urbanized now.
Could be. So, look who's on the leaderboard down here, making Star Wars with 66 points.
Order 66. I'm not going to do any more. I'm going to leave it right there. I'm done. I quit. I'm stopping while I'm ahead.
Season leaderboard. This is for The Mandalorian with 3 episodes left. Jason, you've got a chance.
I can do it.
You got a chance. we've got a number of people on.
Well, me and Mike Porter. Me and Mike Porter are best friends. Look at us.
That's right. You and Mike Porter both are on the leaderboard with only 3 episodes left. So Santa's got to get his act together, or I'm going to have to be sending merch out to everybody.
Oh no! I think I should be disqualified from winning merch since I'm on your show a lot.
No. I'd be happy to award. Baymax won, and I sent him stuff. So
Yeah, but to be fair, he's like our manservant, and we should probably reward him sometimes because he does so much for us.
That's true. That's true.
I love him. He really is. He really is a helpful, good dude.
He is a really good dude. So I think that covers the news. That covers all the things. Anything else that I know we kind of went really long at the first half, but we've gone almost 2 hours today.
That's what happens when we have to miss a show because work, unfortunately. Then we're just so happy to talk to each other. We just start messing around.
I have a job, and it keeps me from doing this when I want to sometimes. But it's fun to hang out. Yeah, Mike Porter says Jason and I are besties. There you go.
We are 66ers.
Yeah. All right. The only thing left then is the Mike Porter dad joke.
All right.
And this Mike, not to offend you,
Lumpy.
Today is not Mike's best work. But it's good. It's a dad joke nonetheless.
Okay.
It's a dad joke nonetheless. So what did Omega think when she found out she had a sister clone? She kind of is a little inside baseball on here, but you kind of got to know what it means. It says Omega thought her sister's an older model car.
I literally don't get it.
It's her last name, Carr. Her sister's last name.
Oh, her name is Carr?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, see, I didn't know that, so I didn't know her name.
That's what I say.
I just knew her as my cartoon girlfriend, so I just left it kind of like there.
Love the Mike Porter dad jokes, and maybe Mike, you should have listed it as your unfunny joke of the day. I know Mike Porter does an unfunny joke of the day, so maybe that's what it needs to be. The unfunny joke of the day today, Mike.
We're still brothers, Mike. We're still 66ers the whole way. We're shooting Jedi in the back. Nothing's going to stop us. We ain't quitting. I'll see you at the top, buddy.
Exactly.
Well, we're gonna have to like break a yellow ray lightsaber in half because I'm winning the other half.
It's good to see you, KG. It has been a rough week. I've had a lot of work this week, but I love getting to hang out and talk with my friends about Star Wars. I love it, especially when Trev is wrong. That just makes me happy. And
I mean, everybody loves that the most. I mean, that's kind of why we do it. It's kind of why we get up in the morning out of bed and show up here on YouTube, because that guy's got it coming.
Yeah, and now
know it all.
From here on, it'll be. You remember that one time when Trev was wrong? It's not like
I do.
It happens, but there's going to be the one time we're going to remember.
And it was about Thrawn, like one of the biggest Star Wars characters of all time. It's like, wow, do you even know Star Wars, buddy? Come on, dude.
Trev is
it's called Wikipedia. Look it up, Trev.
Trev's like a walking encyclopedia of knowledge. He is so smart. And I just want to have that one time. You remember that one time? There was only once. And it was a long time ago. Trev was actually wrong once. Yeah, there's going to be
we're just Trev in your engine. Yeah.
See, I knew this was where it was going to go. Remember when my team beat down your team in trivia? I do remember that. I do remember it, Trev. We got beat bad because Trev's the walking encyclopedia of knowledge, and he's never wrong. Except, it's a Trevopedia. It's.
I think Trev needs to go, and he just needs to win the contest now. Then he needs to sell his winnings, and he needs to buy the prequels on Blu-ray DVD, and then he needs to send you a picture.
That's so good. All right, Jason. Well, thanks for hanging out with me today.
Anytime, dude.
And everybody else who's been here on the stream, thank you for. It's been a long stream today, but we've had a lot of fun. I think we covered a lot of good topics. A lot of good discussion, and you guys have a wonderful day, a wonderful weekend. Right? Be good out there, and until next time, my friends. Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas. Bye bye.